Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bible Show. Today we're going to be discussing, in my opinion, a pretty interesting concept, and that is the corruption of power. And there's this famous saying, as it goes, as most people know it, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Now this is nuanced, of course, but for INFPs, the specific type we're going to be discussing today, it's pretty sort of the case. So INFPs are authority type, so all about power and control. The woman sort of males, a lot of male INFPs, a lot of, let's forget, finance bros, like doctors, a lot of authority figures, a lot of bishops, judges, referees. Actually, it's more of an ESTJ thing. Bishops, powerful men, but INFP, they have the behind the scene interaction style. So they like to play it behind the scenes, like behind closed curtains, and that's what part of their gives them their mystique and sort of introversion. They all seem pretty introverted, but they are some of the most powerful people in the world, and they pretty much run the world. And what INFPs understand, and I understand this as well because I have this side of the mind as part of my cognitive circuit. Whoever controls the money controls the world. I forgot who said that. It's one of the Rothschild, I think, Nathan Rothschild. Shout out to, actually, I'm just borrowing his quote. And how we lead to this conclusion as an aspect of power to control others, it's super important to play to other people's desires and fantasies. This is one of the 48 laws of power, and this is something that INFPs, they colloquially know in their head. They have their own thing for it, just like getting more power and getting more control. So, for example, people want money. Well, people want happiness. People want fun. People want great food. People want great, nice clothes. People want to live in nice areas. And what can you give people to satisfy all those needs? Money. So whoever controls money basically controls the world. And that's sort of basically sort of how INFPs, the conclusion most INFPs get to, which why a lot of them are in finance, are just like very, very powerful positions where they really they set a tone for like how the cards are dealt. They are sort of the dealer of the cards. And the interesting thing with not just power in general, in order to maintain power, another one of the 48 laws, one of the 40 laws says to play both sides. As we mentioned before, we have righteous side users, hybrids, devil's eye users, and we know that's big companies like BlackRock. If I'm being honest, BlackRock, other big financial conglomerates, they own these big news stations. But what's interesting is that they own news stations on opposing sides. So Sky News Australia and like CNN, I'm pretty sure they're owned by like one of the big financial conglomerates. They both own big shares of them. So I think it's actually one media conglomerate, like for example Fox News, or whoever owns Fox News controls, or whatever media group that is, controls both CNN and Sky News Australia. And as we know, CNN is left wing, really liberal, really devil's eye user and Sky News Australia is really pretty much a righteous channel, like on the side of God, pro God. They recently cited Tim Tebow, fellow Christian, So it's really right wing. But what's interesting is they're owned by the same media group. And that's one of the aspects of power, playing both sides. In order to stay in power, you need the support from the most people, and you do that by playing both sides. It sounds really like unethical, but it's basically INFPs trying to please everyone and trying to maintain their power because as part of their cognitive origin, it's something that they very much desire in life. It's just who they are as people, I guess. I'm not sure how much justification I should give, but I'll just leave it at that. I'll leave everyone to make their own judgment. And that's where we sort of get all the current events in the world. So INFP banker has lots of money, or not even has lots of money, controls the flow of money. Federal Reserve. And Federal Reserve is probably the biggest oligarch, biggest group of bankers together, probably. So probably Federal Reserve is probably the most powerful people in the world. I don't know any other banking constitution that trumps that. Probably the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve, basically group of bankers. So group of bankers we have a group of bankers, and they notice some problems in the world. They want to stay in power, stay in control, and I think even if they're righteous side users, like as a righteous side user myself, grace of God, nothing special. Even as an INFP, I came to this conclusion using that side of my mind. In order to maintain power, you sort of have to give up what you believe to please everyone. So the weapons manufacturers and defense contractors actually are they want to make some money, and so the Federal Reserve, in order just to maintain the support of the defense contractors, which have a lot of power and sway, and they have a lot of authority with weapons, sort of to please them, I guess. Okay, let's start a war somewhere. So government contracts. So government can buy out some defense contracts, and weapon manufacturers can make money. So now we sort of satisfy two sides there. I didn't really mention. I sort of hinted at the other side. We have defense manufacturers. They made some money, of course, at the expense of human life. So that's a shame. And we have the government satisfying like sort of the promises and quotas they made to the people, the presidents or whoever. And so both sides are pleased by starting a war. That's a shame, loss of human life, but also to satisfy the need just for like just the onus of a president to keep to do great things. If they made it like maybe just basically what I said before, they wanted to made a promise to change America. This is time to really showcase that they are changing America. So sort of playing into the president's authority as well. So that's just one way how INFPs play both sides. And of course, if you have another one with playing both sides in terms of left and right wing, which is like devil's eye, righteous side users. If you want immigrants to flood the country, we have a news outlet for you. If you want immigrants to be locked out and deported, we have a news outlet for you. And just making sure both sides are placated. And even if it's that's basically the main point of the video. That's sort of the build-up with how much people you need to control in order to maintain power. You sort of have to give up your morals. Like if you're a devil's eye user and you want to stay in power, with so many righteous side users out there, there's a good amount. Doesn't seem like a lot, but a good amount. You sort of need to make sure that they're happy. You're pushing God and everything. And the devil's eye users that want to have fun and burn the world down, you sort of need to placate them with all their fun and chaos. And maybe not maybe just put a news piece making fun of Trump or something like that. And so that's the corruption of power. Just I guess the crux of it is just having to play both sides to maintain power and to control the most people. Whoever controls the most people controls the world, and what controls most people is money. In order to maintain that control of money in the Federal Reserve, you have to constantly keep playing both sides. And a lot of right society INFP users, they come to these states where sort of their origin gets a hold of their morals. And this happens to almost everybody. Like discovery can overcome people's morals. Some people can, that's why I said be careful around INTPs and ESOJs. They can break morals for the sake of discovery. Of course, any type satisfaction, be careful with them. They can break morals for satisfaction. Connection types, in order to maintain a bond, they can break their morals to maintain a bond. So all the types are dangerous because for the sake of satisfying their cognitive origin, they can make they can use their cognitive origin and justification to really break the laws of God. And of course, we all fall short of the glory of God. Throw myself in there, of course. But that's sort of the corruption of power, and it's quite obvious. But it seems like to the INFPs, maybe now to us, as we sort of see it, quite needed in order to maintain power and really maintain order in the world. Well, that's the one's power and order. Well, validation and authority are different, but to maintain power, that's sort of how you have to operate. And it's sort of, like to get rid of this, there's always going to be more INFPs. There's so many, a lot of INFPs in finance now around my age, or just the next coming generation, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds, future bankers and future most powerful men are future members of the Federal Reserve, like those elite group of bankers. And they're going to be calling all of the shots in the world. And they have to please everybody in order to maintain power. It's just how it is. And so that's sort of the cycle of power that goes on. With power, it doesn't seem like there's no room. It seems like there's no room for righteousness. There can be, definitely can be, but which is the nature of the world. It's sort of how power has to operate because of evil from the righteous side user perspective, or because of good from the devil's side user perspective. And so that's how the world is, and the world will continue to be unless somehow INFPs are mentally, cognitively wiped out. But that would result in great downfall in society, because then there'd be no society would fall apart, because there'd be no good person good person to trust. There'd be no trust between the world, and it'd be we live in like a tribal. We'd have a very tribal society, and if someone enjoys a tribal society, maybe that's good. I think tribal societies tend to have more children, but like when INFP society, like the United States, or some people have noticed, or I've also made the conclusion. I've noticed that usually Caucasians, white people, have produced a lot of INFPs compared to other races, and if that really is the case, which I think is the case, it makes sense why the Federal Reserve is the most powerful entity in the world, the powerful group of bankers, So as well as other financial conglomerates, and that's sort of how the world works. I don't think even like worst case scenario, someone does soul eugenics and tries to wipe out INFPs and take the world back to a tribal society, or at least for the Caucasian race. I think God might just plant more INFPs. I'm not too sure. It's a possibility though. But it sounds too far-fetched to be true at the moment. So I'm going to take that with a heavy, like basically ignore that actually. I'm just thinking out loud. So that's the corruption of power. Another note of power, I think, with sort of the culture shifting in America, the INFPs that really get to the top, like to be at the Federal Reserve level, basically are sort of hybrids. If I'm being honest, because righteous eye users, they're usually the most intelligent, the wisest, and like Jesus mentions, and it usually always the case, wise men focus on the flesh. So does INFPs start chasing girls, which is, I mean, okay, we're on the Bible show, which is for the sake of marriage. I think that's lovely, that's amazing. But there's some INFPs that just chase girls, and those INFPs really sort of don't get to the highest levels of power. They are powerful, but don't get to the highest levels of power. The INFPs that get to the highest levels of powers are sort of the hybrids that they or just weaker righteous users that they just settle down, don't get married, or just have a regular wife, and they're able to dedicate their attention towards being that elite banker or one of the elites in banking society, or basically power society, because money controls the world. It goes, money can satisfy almost any fantasy in the world, and that's the nature of INFPs. This is how the world's going to continue till Christ comes, unless someone figures out soul eugenics. But even then, I'm not sure if God will intervene there. So that's pretty interesting. That's how that's how the world functions. And my current belief, with all due respect, that's how sort of society functions in America. I'll leave it at that. And hopefully this really helped people gain some insight into just what it means to be powerful, sort of have to play everybody, and sort of the dangers of power and also the benefits. Because with this, you can help so many people. You can reduce interest rates of money. You can help like INFPs have so much power to help people save. It probably could save thousands of years collectively if they reduce interest rates, making it easier to get money, easier to start a business for loans, and could save people so much time. These people could do absolute good for the world, if they wanted to, and they can. But there's so many people to please, and there's a lot of evil in this world to please, so it makes it hard for them. But I'm sure if there's any righteous INFP elite bankers watching this, I hope you guys reduce some interest rates, help fight off some debt, and then it'll be easier for people to make money, and people can get a house more, get married more, be happy more, and then the world's gonna be a better place. But we're just fighting against there's spiritual warfare, there's the devil, and it's all a big war, and INFPs have to control everything that goes on in this earth, and as well as God.